Welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. We are live. We're back again. The first show for a little while since the transfer window is open, so we've got plenty to discuss. We're going to be discussing Manchester United transfers. It sounded like it was a busy start, and then it slowly started to veer off once other managers started getting jobs. We're going to discuss that a little bit. Thomas Frank being the danger man of Man United at the moment, potentially snapping up players that they had thought they'd got, but it does seem like Mbeumo is still edging towards Manchester United, but we'll discuss that in a minute. Arsenal, are they moving slowly? There's a few Arsenal fans that are saying they're moving slowly. They're sick of this. They've got PTSD from seasons before, so they've got reasons why they're a bit anxious at the moment with Arsenal signing, but we're going to discuss that as well. We'll be talking. Hopefully, Steve Kay will be joining us, so we'll be talking all transfers going on at the moment. And of course, the main topic of the show, Chelsea, top of the PRS FFP table, able to spend upwards of £300 million in this transfer window. How, you may ask? We've done a little bit of digging to see how, why, and yeah, we'll definitely be talking about some of the main points on that one. We've got Garth back on the show. How you doing, Garth?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks. Sun is out. You know what I mean? Can't lie. Been down the beach today. Couple of vinos down there with a pizza, mate. In the Italian, it's been lovely. It's been lovely. now I got to talk about Man United. So it's all come crashing down around me, ain't it? You know what I mean? The depression setting in, the upset, the hurt, the pain. You know, Garnacho's out there with Rashford 9 Aston Villa shirts on, making statements.
I mean, he's essentially what our season feels like. So it's just preparation for the season to come anyway. Like excitement at first, and just disappointment as the season goes on.
Mate, good, thanks, good.
Other than that, look, that's a topic of conversation we should start on then. If we're going to be talking about Manchester United. We saw a load of players in shirts belonging to other teams. A lot of fans are unhappy about it. I had my own opinion on it. But what was your take on that? There's a few of those players that were sort of on the fringes, players that are potentially looking to leave that were also wearing those shirts. What was your thoughts on that?
I mean, what was it? Who else was it? It was Ugarte, wasn't it? Was he in a South American shirt, weren't he?
Yeah.
It was Ahmed,
yellow
Brighton shirt. But
the Garnacho.
The Ugarte and the Ahmed ones. A lot of Garnacho defenders have been bringing that up to display, like, oh, look, no one's worried about these. And it's like, yeah, because Ahmed's playing football, and the geezer he's with has clearly got his shirt on because it says Ahmed. Like, he's clearly, you know what I mean? And his mate is a Dringa from the Ivory Coast national team. He's just having a kick about. He's not making a statement, you know what I mean? Ugarte, listen, I mean, South Americans or something, you know, I don't know what he's up to, really. It's a bit weird, that one. But it's not, again, he's not making a statement. Garnacho's making a statement, mate. He's making a statement, innit? You know what I mean? Rash, like, you don't need to post that. It's such a set up, like, photo shoot picture. You know what I mean? With whatever car it is, Lambo or Ferrari there, and he's walking, he's got Rashford 9 on his back. Bruv, calm. This is why we don't want you in no more, mate. Because your attitude stinks. It stinks, mate. I'm surprised because the fan base is quite divided from what I've seen online. There's Garnacho, like, it's straight down the middle. There's Garnacho supporters and there's Garnacho like me, who's like, I don't care anymore. I don't think he's ever going to be a superstar. Let him go. You know, like, that attitude stinks, in my opinion. But yeah, he's trying to make statements, isn't he? And he's been doing this for a year and a half now, it feels like. Apparently, he's the leaks. You know what I mean? Like, him and his brother.
Yeah, I've heard it's his brother.
His brother. But where's his brother getting it from?
Yeah,
exactly. You know what I mean? And listen, if God actually didn't want it to happen, it'd stop sending him the information.
He would have said, "I can calm that down. You're getting me in shit. They're starting to cotton on that. It's you." Yeah.
I get Garnacho's frustration. Listen, the new manager's come in. He don't fit the system. He got dropped for the Europa League final. But is that because everyone knows that this player's not going to be here next year? You know what I mean? Like, no one wants to see. Look, I know he isn't, like, technically a youth player, but he is. If you do, like, he classes as a British-born player, don't he? Whatever it is, for the rules that he's been at Man United from when he was 16 to whatever it is. Not British-born, sorry. he doesn't count as a foreign player in our team. So he's been there a while, and he probably does feel like he's been let down a little bit. But mate, like sometimes you've got to suck it up. You know, I mean, look at like someone said rightly. Look at Kobe Mano. You know what I mean? He scored in the FA Cup final last year, and he's been on the fringes all this season, and he's not out there throwing his toys at the Prem like Garnacho is. So I worry for whoever's taking Garnacho because you're getting a decent player, you're getting a player that's exciting, you're getting a player that's going to get you out your seat. You've got a player that you don't really see that sort of player anymore in world football, just a straight attacking winger. You know, I mean, you've got a couple, but there's not that many out there. And he is talented. He scores wonder goals. Like, yeah, he's a good player, but you're also getting a whole heap of attitude, a whole heap of drama with his brother, a whole heap of this and that. So, yeah, the best thing for Garnacho would be to just knuckle down, move to a new club, forget all of the outside influences. Don't even worry about like what we'll get into Sancho, I'm sure, but like what Sancho wants to do, which is to prove Man United wrong. Don't worry about any of that. Just get on with your football and you'll become a very good player and you'll have a very good career winning things. So, yeah, but it's a cheap shot. It's about the third in a row from Garnacho. And to be quite honest with you, I'm bored with him. You and me both like an egotistical player. You know what I mean? We love it.
Yeah, yeah. As long as they back it. Exactly. I like it if they back it. Because when you've got that sort of player, they bring something different. They believe their own hype. Like they take them shots. They take on that player. That's them backing themselves, and I like that. But it's when they've got all of that and they don't bring. They're
not producing enough. Yeah. Because funny enough, I'm just rewatching The Last Dance because Kirsty wanted to watch it, so I'm watching it with her, and I forget how egotistical Michael Jordan is. Like he is literally the most egotistical man that ever lived. But guess what? Those 6 rings. Yeah, the 6 rings. Like this is a geezer who was the best in the world at basketball. It's like, do you know what? I'm going to play baseball. That's how good I am. I'm going to go play baseball. But he can back it because he's the best in the world. Garnacho's got all that ego, but he ain't there yet. And he could make it. I think Spain's his best option, Kia. I can't lie, mate. I'm not going to lie. After everything I just said, or Arsenal, weirdly, because of the way
Garnacho.
Yeah, no, you don't want him, and I can understand why after everything I've just said. But I think Spain's his best option. But Premier League, Arsenal is his best option. So,
do you think that if a team takes a chance on him and he can deliver and progress and be his best, do you think they've got a star? Maybe not a superstar like what people originally thought Garnacho could be, but do you think they've got a serious player on their hands?
Yeah, I do. As much as listen on this show, people might be like, "Well, you've said for a year and a half, you don't think he's that good." No, I don't think he's as good as you think he is. Not you, but people think were comparing him to Messi and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, no, but yeah, you definitely got a very good player on your hands. Like, if he's one of them, if he feels loved, if he's in his position, you know what I mean? And he's only got one position, people. That is left wing. That is it. Doesn't play right wing. He's rubbish out on the right flank. Can't go through the centre. He's one position, left wing. That's it. So yeah, but if he's got in the right position with the right gaffer, with the right team around him, and you know, what I mean, like I can imagine. I'm trying to think of a manager, Emery maybe.
Yeah,
he's good with players like they only like bigs them up and
do what they want as long as they can play football.
Exactly. So, but someone listen, he's not a bad player. He's not. He will be a star. He's only 20, 21. He's like I say, he's got a lot of talent. But he's one of those players. That's a player you bring in when your team's firing on all cylinders. And you're like, you know what? We can deal with him to bring him up to what he is. But if he doesn't get out of his own way, by 23, 24, we could be looking at one of those players that was like, he's still like, who was not a Flavio Conce Sal, but you know the sort of player I'm thinking of, like maybe a Yalquin, something like that. Like they're good, they're very good, but he spends his entire career at Real Betis.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows. Like, but then you see him, Real Betis come and play you, and you're like, that Yalquin is ridiculous. How is he not? You know what I mean? Like that. I know before anyone says it, but
he made a transfer when he was 21, and he didn't settle because he was moved five miles out of town, and he didn't like it. So he's moved back and he's back to his old self.
So it's
tough one, isn't it? Those teams, those players.
But we don't play wingers, so he does have to go because it's a valuable asset to us, which will be pure profit as well. And then if you remember, this is what I said when Emery was coming in. Rashford, Garnacho, Dalot are worried for as well, but he looks like he's repositioning himself as a right wing back. But any of the wingers that we had, the Sanchos, there's no position for him in this team. There isn't, the way we play. So I understand his frustration, but this isn't how you conduct yourself, man. You know what I mean? I know he's a young boy at 20. I know that, but he's not a young boy in terms of how long he's been playing. You know what I mean? He must have a good 100 games under his belt. Let's have a look. And he's still acting like this, you know what I mean? He's still throwing his toys out his pram. And we've got this culture there at the moment. Sancho, Rashford, Garnacho, they all think, you know what I mean? Acting like they're being held hostage at Man United on 300 grand a week. Like, calm down, like calm yourselves down. There's problems in the world. Just, like, lads, like, sort it out. Yeah, I mean, he's played 93 league games for Man United already. Chris statistics, 144 games for Man United already, you know what I mean, at 20. So, yeah, I mean, he's 21 at the end of the month, but yeah, someone's going to get a good player. He ain't a Man United boy anymore. There's just no two ways about it. It's done. That relationship's broken.
He's done.
And I can understand some Man United fans hurt because he does look like he could be in glimpses. You know what I mean? You see them overhead kicks, you see the dribbles. He scored, I mean, he got, was it 20 goal contributions this season? I think 11 goals, 9 assists, something like that. I can understand it, but we've got to break that culture at Man United. We've got to break it. If it means that we've got to suck it up and let someone like Garnacho go for 40 mil, when in reality we could have sold him for 90 mil last season. You know what I mean? 70 mil with 20 mil add-ons on performance basis. We've got to do it. And Amorim did that at Sporting, didn't he, when he first moved in? I don't know if you saw that tweet. Like, turned up and got rid of like 9 players from that Sporting team who he deemed weren't of the right mindset. So Guardiola did it when he joined Man City, not to the extent, but look what he did to Joe Hart. You're not the player I need. We're talking about England's number one. Like, none of us, maybe you did, but we all thought, the rest of us, that he was a decent goalkeeper, Joe Hart. And then Pep turned up and was like, no, you're rubbish. Get out of my team. And
you know what? I always rated Joe Hart, and then I started to see other people's opinion outside of England of Joe Hart. And I was thinking to myself, cool, we really do rate him. Like, because of his shot stopping, his command of area, his presence. Like, we love that in English football. And then they were like, like, he's good at the basics, but what's he like with his feet? What's he like with this? What's he like outside of the area? And I'm like, huh? And they're like, look at Neuer. Look at so-and-so. Look at so-and-so. These are goalkeepers which we shout about and rave about. That's your goalkeeper. And I was like, oh, yeah, now I see it. Yeah, now I see it. Yeah, like, there's your level. And the Joe Hart is maybe top of your level underneath. Like, he's a great shot stopper. He's good in the air, good command of area. He's a good presence. But you should have that as well as being able to take the ball with your feet and pass it out to your fullbacks, or spring a long ball diag, or be outside the area and feel comfortable with the ball at your feet with people putting pressure on you. That's standard with Neuer. He'd do a correct turn and then put it through your legs and then spin a 40-yard diag, right? But yeah, it's what we do over here. We get excited about. And
when they do get good, tear them down.
They can't be too good. Oh, you look too big for your boots. Got to take it down.
You forgot where you come from, son. You know what I mean? Yeah. But listen, my message to Man United fans is, as painful as it is at the moment, we've got to trust Amorim. He's coming with a new system, new philosophy. He needs to get the right out of this team. And there's going to be some casualties that are going to hurt. Rashford hurt me. Like, you know what I mean? It's hurt me because I love Marcus Rashford. But we've got to trust the gaffer. He's going to live and die by these decisions at the end of the day, which I suppose probably brings us into the next point of Man United have work to do in the transfer market. So, we do.
Absolute cues left, right, and centre. But first and foremost, that I've seen quite a bit. It's something I actually asked you the question of at the end of the season after we saw Emi Martinez leave the pitch at Aston Villa in tears. And I asked you, is there any, have you heard any links to Emi Martinez at Man United? And as the week's gone on, the links have gone stronger. And I see one today. You can always like the news that comes out in the Manchester newspaper, the local paper.
The Manchester Evening News.
Manchester Evening News. Gotta love that one. And Manchester United being linked with Emi Martinez, as I said, the links getting stronger. What have you heard about that one, Garth? And what's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I've heard the links. I've heard all. Like, I've seen it. I can understand it, but for 40 mil, no. So, listen, I don't rate Emi Martinez anywhere near as highly as a lot of people do. This is no one in players that I'm not as hyped as everyone else is. If it was a freebie at 33, that's a very different matter. That's a very different matter. But 40 mil for him, no, I'm sorry, mate. Plus, Edwin van der Sar's come out this week, ain't he? And told Man United fans to stick with Onana. Yeah, he's had a bad couple of years, but he's actually a great goalkeeper. And listen, I love you, Edwin. For me, you're the best goalkeeper in the Premier League era, and I've never not seen anything different. You know what I mean? But nah, I've seen 2 years of that man, so no. But 40 mil,
bruh.
It's such a short-term signing.
Is he still Ajax? He's not Ajax with Ajax anymore, Van der Sar, is he?
Yeah, he's at Ajax, isn't he? Yeah. He had the brain hemorrhage, didn't he? So that's why he's been out of it for a while.
And Overmars left as well, which was their partners.
Overmars didn't leave for a brain hemorrhage, though.
Overmars set the mark. Say no more.
But if we're spending 40 mil on a keeper, mate, and he's realistically just paying the 15 mil and go and get Diogo Costa. You know what I mean? Like 40 mil for 33. I know goalkeepers can go till they're older, but at 33. Nah.
Yeah, it's a big ask for 40 mil.
Yeah, because it's going to be. Let's face it, what is it? A 4-year contract minimum, realistically, isn't it?
If you're paying 40 mil, you want to get 40 out, but let's see ya.
Yeah, but then you're talking. He's nearly 38, bro. 38, and you know what I mean? Like 30. Not like no. I know Van der Sar did it, but I don't think Emi Martinez is that type of goalkeeper. He's a decent goalkeeper, but no, I'd rather us look elsewhere than Emi Martinez. You know what I mean?
What I would say in terms of goalkeepers and Emi Martinez, I think he potentially will go longer. Will go to the latter stage of the 30s because he was a late starter. Because remember, after he joined Arsenal, he probably sat on the bench for a good 3, 4, even 5 seasons up until his early mid-20s. Went out on loan a couple of times, had Reading. And then only really established himself as a Premier League goalkeeper in his late 20s at Arsenal, and then to now. So I would have to guess he's probably had less minutes than a lot of younger goalkeepers. Probably test that theory on transfer market because they're very good at the actual minutes they've played as well. But yeah,
no, I'm just looking at it. Yeah.
I agree with you. It'll be too much, and he's got a contract at Aston Villa until 2029, so they are going to be looking for that sort of money. But it was interesting to see that he was so upset. And it does look like that's it. He was waving goodbye.
Definitely does. Yeah.
But where is his next venture? I do not know. It'd be interesting to see.
I reckon Saudi, because you've got to pay the money for it. So I reckon it'd be Saudi for Emi Martinez. Because I can't see. Unless Chelsea go and do it, can they buy everyone? But yeah, I can't see anyone wanting to spend that money on him. Maybe Spain. I don't know who needs something out there at the moment, to be fair. Obviously, Real Madrid and do Barcelona need a goalkeeper at the moment? That's
just Garcia, aren't they?
Of course they have. Yeah, there you go then. So yeah, no. So yeah, I reckon Saudi Arabia if he goes anywhere, or maybe because in reality, where does he go that's better than Villa in the Premier League? Like bigger than Villa in the Premier League that need it, apart from Man United. Newcastle
was the only club that I thought to myself, potentially this could be. This could be. There's too much bad blood with Arsenal. Like he took it really bad that he was sold.
No, sorry, Newcastle. I said, Newcastle, not Arsenal. Newcastle, maybe.
No, I think they're after James Burnley keeper.
Trafford.
James Trafford. Yeah. Good goalkeeper. Very much similar style to Nick Pope as well. Good shot. Very much a little bit messy, but will become like a hero of Newcastle. That kind of keeper.
Chelsea ain't going to get him. Liverpool don't need him. Obviously, they've got 2 quality goalkeepers there. Man City don't need him, unless he's coming in as backup, but that'd be foolish of him, I think. So, I think it'll be Saudi or Spain for Emi Martinez if he does leave.
All right. Another player at Manchester United been linked to is Brian Mbeumo. It looked very much like it was going to be an easy run with Brian Bremo, similar to Manchester United getting Mateus Cunha, who looks like he's already signed for Manchester United. However, after Thomas Frank joined Tottenham, there were strong links with Bremo making a U-turn and turning to his old manager and going there. But as the sort of days and weeks have gone on, it does seem like Mbeumo is still focused on joining Manchester United. A good signing for Manchester United, Garth?
Depends on the numbers, because I think there's two ways to look at why it's stalling, which is either, it's Thomas Frank wants him at Spurs, but they've got, who's their right wing? Because I like their, is it Kulusevski?
Kulusevski and Brennan Johnson.
And Brennan Johnson, they don't need him whatsoever unless they're selling one of them. So, but the numbers I'm hearing from Bremo is, 250 grand a week. Sorry, mate. Nah. Like 65 mil.
What's the at the moment? I'll check.
Like at Brentford, what? Let's face it, ain't gonna be more than 70, is it? I wouldn't have thought. Surely. I couldn't presume.
45 grand a week.
No, you're not getting a 205 grand a week pay rise, bruv. You're not. And that's a number I keep seeing punted about. And I think that's why, have you noticed, since that number went out there, I have noticed the stories about Mbeumo have just stopped almost, really. It's just like, nah, because a lot of clubs want him, you know what I mean? But Newcastle want him, obviously. I'm sure Frank probably does want to bring him there, but it'd be a bit of a sad move for him, I think, if they've already got Brennan Johnson and Kulusevski there. So
I think it's an easy story. Thomas Frank goes to Tottenham, Brian Mbeumo, Thomas Frank connection. I think it's an easy story. Why not link Tottenham to an Ivan Toney to come back so it could be their second option up front? Again, easy story. Not heard it yet, but I'm sure we'll hear it towards the end of the transfer window. Not falling off the place or backup.
I like him. Nathan, friend of the show, obviously Nathan Elton has really put me. I wasn't that sure about it, but the way he speaks about him, the way that he explained his skill set, what he can do, the fact that he can play through the middle, he can play off the right flank, which I didn't think he could play through the middle. It's actually hyped me up a little bit. So I would like Mbeumo in my team. I really would. I would like to see that those 2 10s being Mbeumo and Cunha. It sounds like it could work very nicely. But those figures, not those figures. Again, the same with Martinez. Those numbers, mate. Nah, not saying. Unless we're selling a car park. Nah.
We'll get on to that in a bit as well.
That's called foreshadowing, people. That's called foreshadowing.
Back to your subconscious, mate. Don't worry, we get that. Do you think we're seeing a lot of clubs in the Premier League go for the different names and bringing in the Buemos, and we're seeing Arsenal being linked with the likes of Gyökeres and Šeško. But along the way, we're also hearing about big wage demands. Do you think that these players are seeing those pound signs as soon as they see a Premier League club in, and then it could potentially put off these clubs if they're getting a bit greedy?
100% is, mate. I think the problem is the gravy train days of the Premier League are gone now, mate, because of PSR, because of sustainability rules. There is no more. We can just give you whatever you want. Sanchez coming to Man United on 425 grand a week. Excuse me. That ain't happening no more. Like, the people have got to be very careful about what they're spending, the wages they're giving players. You know what I mean? The how the deal's going to work out, etc., etc. Man United, especially, we've been stung a few times recently. You look at Sancho, you look at Casemiro, both on well over 300 grand a week when they first joined. Like, it's gone down now because of not making Champions League and whatnot. But these players they've got to start. This is what I was saying. I think a couple of weeks ago we were talking about. This is the good thing and the bad thing with PSR. These smaller clubs can hang on to these players because clubs can't just give Benjamin Sesko 295 grand a week. We can't just give Aston Villa. Man, I can't just give Aston Villa 40 mil for Martinez, and let's face it, Martinez would want 200 and something grand a week. Can't happen. So if these players want these big moves to the Premier League or even to Spain, to Italy, you're going to have to start lowering your wage demands. Look at Sancho right now, still trying to demand not even what he's on right now. That's the worst thing. Sancho's trying to demand what his contract is worth, which was like his original one, which was 310 grand a week. Like, he's on 200 and something right now, but he wants 300 grand a week. Like, mate, you ain't done nothing in 4 years. Like, sort it out. Being a bit saucy, if you ask me. But they're gonna.
It's crazy how someone like Jadon Sancho is not torn. He's not. No, I can't even say he's not torn up tree. He's not done anything since he's been in England, and he's still expecting more money, or even the same money that he's been on since he came over. It's like, mate, you've not proven yourself at all. You're going down a slippery path to the point where I can't see where Jadon Sancho ends up. Like at the moment, there's like 2 or 3 clubs I could see him going to. Villa being one of them. Chelsea pulled out because of the wage demands. Who are the other options? Eddie Howe wouldn't take him at Newcastle. And then you're going similar and Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, but they ain't going to pay him the wages he wants. I mean, he's got no option in the Premier League, man, in my mind.
Not that sort of money.
No, we'll talk because we're going to talk about Vlahovic a bit later on. But what I saw today is Juventus are when I was doing the deep dive on Vlahovic, are exploring a Sancho Vlahovic swap, which would be lovely for me. I'd take that every day of the week. But there's nowhere. That's the thing. If he doesn't sort himself out and he's 25, he's just going to fade into obscurity. And for someone who's acting like being at Old Trafford and being at Manchester United is akin to slavery. Like literally, like putting up freedom, like freedom. Like he's fucking William Wallace in Braveheart. But like sources, like he don't want to go. Like, mate, you're a multi. Like, listen, I'm all for like I want to see out my contract because you know what I mean. Like, it's my money. But like, you say it's the worst place you've ever been, that you're unhappy, that you can't stand to be there, that everyone hates you, and yet when people are offering you decent. Let's not get it wrong. He ain't getting offered 20 grand a week. You know, I think Chelsea offered him nigh on like 180 grand a week or something. And he's like, nah, I'm worth more than that. Like, and that's just Jadon Sancho's ego all over, mate. I like the player of Jadon Sancho, I really do, but his attitude stinks. And in my mind, he ain't, unless we can do a swap deal with someone who lowers his wages, I think what we'll see is he rots on the bench at Man United this season, or goes on loan somewhere and someone pays half his wages, and then he goes on a free at the end. And he'll go where? I mean, if he's still asking for that sort of money, you know what I mean? Like, I can't, because let's face Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Chelsea ain't having him.
No.
At all. Villa, their PSR's all over the gaff at the moment, isn't it? Like, there's actually, like, they're in pretty bad.
15 mil or something like that.
Say again?
They can spend about 15 mil.
Yeah, because of the wages that they spent last year. Yeah, exactly. So Villa's out of the question. Like I said, Forest, maybe, but again, they're pretty like shoestring at the moment, ain't they, as well? I thought, because of how much they've spent.
Yeah, Forest are in trouble as well. They've got to sell.
Yeah. So no Forest, like I said, no Newcastle. Where's he going? Spurs? You know, I mean, like realistically, that's the only viable place in England. He can go with Spurs, I reckon. And as we just said, do they need another winger? I don't think they do. So, yeah, again, I think it's going to be a real sad end to Jadon Sancho's career if he ain't careful. I think you could see him in Saudi Arabia at 26 years old.
Like, does it get any sadder than a Ravel Morrison? It's looking like it's going that way.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, or doing what like Yao Felix is doing now, which is like you spend half a season at AC because everyone can see that if you give it all, if you give us your best, you're a top quality player, but it never happens. You know, it just never happens. And then he spends half a season at Milan, and then he's at Juventus, and then he's you know, I mean, he does half a season at Valencia, although they're not that good anymore. You know, like, and then eventually at 28, yeah, he's in Saudi Arabia, or he's in, even worse, he's like Jesse Lingard, he's in South Korea, or you know, I mean, Australia, or say crazy like that. You know what I mean? So it's one of the biggest letdowns for me in the recent history of Man United, us not being able to unlock Jadon Sancho's potential. I'm not putting it all on Sancho, I'm not, because we didn't treat him right either. You know what I mean? There's like, we've done things, we haven't looked after him properly, but Sancho's attitude has really held him back at United. I think he could have been a generational talent. I honestly wasn't trying to banter people when did we sign? 4 years ago? Yeah, 4 years ago, I was like, I'd rather have Jadon Sancho than Bukayo Saka. That wasn't a banter thing. I meant that at the time. I really did. I've been proven very, very, very wrong. Like, very wrong. I honestly thought Sancho had a higher ceiling than... to be fair, I still think that. If Sancho had done everything that he could have done to become the best version of himself, I do think he had a higher ceiling than Saka. But he hasn't got that mentality, and it's costing.
But as you know, and your key, this is a key thing for you. It's the mentality. You can have all the skill in the world, but if you've not got the mentality to push it through, it doesn't mean anything.
And in product. I know some people don't believe it. I argue all the time in my Man United group about this. For me, end product is what matters. And Saka produces, and Sancho doesn't. And that's what it comes down to. This is why, when people talk about Pedro Neto, I'm not saying he's a bad player. He doesn't produce. He's a very good player. João Felix is a very good player. Of course he is. Any player, this is what I've had this before. Any player who plays in the Premier League or top leagues in world football is one of the best players of all time. But if they're not like putting the effort in, and they're not getting the numbers, and they're not producing on the pitch, like whatever position they're meant to be in, then they're just schoolboy players. Schoolground, playground players. That's what they are at the end of the day. So but it's sad. It's sad, mate, with Sancho. Would you take a gamble on Sancho at Arsenal?
No.
If the wages were right? You see, there you go. It's not even a full kit. You didn't even have
4 years ago, 100%. I would have been all over it. I would have been like, "Ooh, maybe I'll take a do something with him. Maybe he'd have a word and put his arm on his shoulder." No, I've heard enough. I've even said to you, like, maybe 10 hours could have been. He's like, "Nah, kids, he's tried." And I've read the stories now. I'm like, nah.
Yeah,
I've seen what he's like. Nah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Was that Ten Hag thing where Ten Hag gave him 3 months off because he had mental health problems. Get your head right. You know what I mean? Come back. And then Ten Hag said one thing about, "Oh no, he's not in the team because he didn't train well." And then, "I'm not being used as a scapegoat anymore. People are lying about me." But every manager and coach in the history of your career is lying about you. You know, that you don't turn up on time, that you're always tired, you're not looking after yourself. Everyone's a liar. There's a lack of accountability, and I said that many times with Man United players recently. Pogba's the same. Lack of accountability for your actions, mate. Rashford's the same. Garnacho. Lack of accountability for your actions, and a real immaturity in how you're acting. People say to me that they're young men. It's different. They're footballers. They've got people around them. Like, I know in real life, 25 is young. Jadon Sancho's been a professional footballer at the top level for 7 years. He should have learnt by now. I don't care if he's 25 or not. You know what I mean? He ain't me at 25, bowling the streets of Dartford on a Friday night. He's a professional, well-played, one of the most. I think he's still like 6th best played player in the Premier League, bro.
Ludicrous.
Ludicrous, exactly.
All right. And another player we've just spoken about there, Dusan Vlahovic. A player who was linked with Arsenal heavily a few seasons ago and opted to move to Juventus and stay in Italy. Since there, his stock seems to have fallen to the point where there's talk of him potentially leaving the club for as little as £25 million. Garth most recently has been linked with Manchester United. I think he's better than a Rasmus Højlund, but I've not watched him in a couple of years now. What have you noticed about him? What have you seen of him? What's the reason that Juventus are looking to offload him for such a small fee?
As a player, look, he's a complete striker, and I mean that in the literal term. He's a complete centre forward. Great hold up play. I've got the notepads out here. Great hold up play. Great ball position, ball retention, strength, power. He's not slow. Finishing superb. 6'3", built like a brick outhouse. Honestly, he's a Premier League football. He's a Premier League team's dream. If you ask me, if you're just going with his attributes, it feels like it really went sour for him in Juventus. From what I've just read today about things of him, it ain't just he could be leaving for as little as 25 mil.
He will be.
Juventus are actively trying to sell him because he goes on a free next year, and he has said, "I'm going." Yeah, apparently. I don't know. Again, this is from Goal, you know what I mean? Goal.com and a couple of other. It's not from the Times.
That's not too bad.
But that's what I'm saying. But everything with a pinch of salt United's in the transfer window. Everything with a pinch of salt. You know what I mean? So,
well, the Daily Mail is one of them ones where it was easy to dismiss the Daily Mail before, but with Sammy Mockbell and a couple of other.
Their sports good. Yeah,
they put the credibility of the Daily Mail right up.
Yeah. So, and there doesn't seem to be any sort of rhyme or reason to it. Like the article I read was like it's not been great for him there. You've had the Pogba situation. You had whoever it was banned for gambling. You had the whole ball get thrown out, obviously with the embezzlement thing. He's had 2 managers that don't really suit him, etc. A lot of excuses, and he still hasn't done horrifically badly out there, mate. You know what I mean? He's still getting. The high teens in each of the 3 seasons. You know what I mean? He's on probably a 1 every 2.3. It ain't what he was doing at Fiorentina, and I didn't realise he's still only 25, mate. Like, it feels like he's been around for like,
he was a golden boy nominee a few seasons ago when we probably first started the show. Because I remember doing a read up on him.
Yeah, so listen, if the rumours are true that Juventus want Sancho and they're willing to give us either Vlahovic or Douglas Luiz for him, I mean, I won't lie. The first article I read got me excited because it was Juventus were offering Douglas Luiz and Vlahovic for Jadon Sancho. And I was like, hey,
I'm just going to borrow the car. I put a full tank in.
No, I ain't got a license. But I'm driving that man to Turin. Like, I'm driving him to Italy.
Manchester via Turin.
Yeah, I'd be all over that personally, mate. I mean, it doesn't feel like he's had a bad attitude or anything. I mean, this is where you need an Italian expert on really to really dig into what's happened there. But it just feels like it hasn't worked for him. It just hasn't worked for him. Some people said that it was hard to because I think he took the 7 jersey that Ronaldo was wearing at Juventus, things like that, and it's just been that hard to reach the heights that everyone thought he was going to be. But he's a Premier League striker, Keir, man. The more I looked at into him today, I was again like, Arsenal need to reignite that interest. If they're not getting Sesko, they need to reignite that interest because I'd have him over Gorka.
It keeps on bopping its head around. It keeps on bopping its head around. It's not gone away, trust me. There's just that every time his name's brought up, all you hear is, he's turned us down before. That ship has sailed.
So what, you wouldn't take Mbappe next year if he turns you down this year? That argument is ridiculous, people. I sort it out. The more I looked into him today, kid, the more honestly I was like, Sesko's definitely the number 1 option for you. But I would see, and that price as well, mate, because he's only got 1 year left on his contract, 22 to 25 mil. I'd seriously, I'd want him over Gorka if I was you. But that's just personal opinion. But yeah, he could be another Darwin Núñez though as well. You look at him, he's got all of them attributes. He's powerful. He's got the shot. He's
a bit more composed. He's always composed than
he is. His finishing is well good, mate. His finishing is well good. So yeah, I'd love him at Man United. I think that he should come to England wherever he goes next. Definitely, that's what I mean. If he's available, Newcastle should be looking at him. Yeah. Villa should be. Well, Villa ain't got the money, but Newcastle should be looking at him. United should be looking at him. Chelsea want another striker, but I'd never go there. But Chelsea should be looking at him. And yeah, if the Sesko deal don't go through, I think Arsenal should be looking at him as well. Like really.
All right, Dusan Vlahovic has had the seal of approval.
Yes, seal of approval for him.
So yeah, let's see if Dusan Vlahovic ends up in the Premier League. Now on to Arsenal transfers. There's been a lot of talk about Arsenal moving slow. Arsenal aren't doing anything. Look at all the other teams. Look that they're doing. Liverpool signed 5 players. Manchester City, Chelsea, Man United are signing players. It's like chill out, boys and girls. Chill out. Look, it's easy to look over your next door neighbour's garden, and as Wenger said, thinking that their wife is prettier than yours. As you get closer, you realise it's not all it's cracked up to be. But yeah, look, it does seem that way. But Martin Zubimendi for Arsenal, that deal's done. He's signed. He was in London on Thursday to sign the formalities of the deal, take photos, and I'm guessing do the medical. Arsenal do like to keep that under wraps and do that behind the scenes because they usually with these sorts of signings they like to do a nice little a video of the whole process of the medical. You know how Arsenal work. I don't understand why every season you get so frustrated that once a deal's done, where's the announcement? Every post is, and now Zubi or Zubi, where are you? We got some work to do now. I've been waiting.
The cringe. From what I've been reading, Keir, you might have better than this than me, is that all parties are waiting for the 1st of July, so it complies with next season's PSR rules and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. As soon as you hear that, you're like, yeah, sweet, perfect sense. The deal's done. They just can't they can't finalise it until 1st of July. So it all goes on the books
It
at the right
almost
time.
felt like this news of he's in London was to keep you lot quiet because the deal is done. Like they're going, look to me, like, could you come over and just like be in London for like a day, just so we can just do these formalities, get a bit restless, you know what I mean?
You're talking on the beach, and now people are worrying. So can you just we'll link one photo of you off the plane. We'll link a photo of you walking into the hotel. Job done, in it, you know.
or we were originally linked with Nico Williams and Rodrigo, and now we're looking like we could get Lookman. So it could get a bit
story.
Could get a bit messy. So we need to help us out a little bit. But yeah, the Zubimendi deal's done. Kepa. I know people. I had this back and forth with someone in the comment section the other day where I said, "Look, Zubimendi's done. He's in London. Signing the format is the same situation as it is with Wirtz, and then the Kepa deal. So that's actually 2 signs. I don't care about Kepa. Okay, but it's a signing, and Arsenal needed a backup goalkeeper. So, like I said, when people were losing their minds about Kepa, 2-time Champions League winner, over 400 appearances, international. Was once the most expensive goalkeeper in the world, and Arsenal were getting him for 5 million. As a backup goalkeeper for David Raya, you cannot complain, and he had a good season last season.
Can't complain. 30 years old.
Excellent bit of work, and if that's Andrea Berta doing his bit, that is what I'm talking about. Smart signing. Very, very smart.
You know what I mean? He's still had a couple of, it's not like he hasn't had a cap for Spain in a couple of years, but like I'm sure it was only a couple of years ago he's still having caps for Spain, you know what I mean?
Well, he was still getting called up as part of one of the 3 at one point.
You've got to remember, Spain have got quality goalkeepers and they've had for the last 15 years. You had De Gea, obviously before that, Casillas and Valdez, and Simon. You know what I mean? Listen, mate, Kepa for 5 mil is an outstanding backup goalkeeper, especially if his wages are as low as I'm hearing, literally 70 grand a week.
Yeah, David Raya's on 100, so he's willing to take a pay cut to come in.
Yeah, quality signing, mate. You know, Real Madrid. This is what people will get. I'm just reading it. Real Madrid took him on loan last season as their backup goalkeeper. Oh, so he's good enough for Real Madrid. He ain't good enough for Arsenal. Sort yourselves out. He's a great backup goalkeeper, Kepa. Now, listen, I think he's not the great. He clearly ain't the greatest goalkeeper of all time.
No,
but he's done well at Bournemouth last season. 5 mil, cheap as chips. I can't see any badness to this signing. There's no bad. It's a great signing for Arsenal. So.
Yeah, last season we brought in a goalkeeper on loan, which we couldn't play because he was cup tied. So he played 2 games last season, and David Raya played all the rest. Huh?
Yeah, was that Neto? Was it Neto?
Yeah,
the
Bournemouth fellow. Yeah. So it's smart. And prior to that, we had Aaron Ramsdale, who I'm a big fan of. But he's a player that needs to play week in, week out. He wasn't used to being on that bench, and when he did come in, it took him a couple of games to acclimatise. And it just didn't work. Look, I'm happy with the Kepa signing. I think it's smart, and it allows us to spend money elsewhere. Considering we were willing to spend pretty big money on that second goalkeeper, being linked with Garcia, around €30 million mark. We've saved £25 million. So. You cannot complain.
I actually do think that, like something I said at the time, signing Garcia, I think would have been a bad signing for Arsenal just because of the money, the wages. Not that he's a bad player, he's very good, but that's a first-team goalkeeper. That's a number 1. He's a number 1, and you don't need that. I know everyone likes to think about competition. I think that goalkeepers need to know. You may or may not agree with this. I think they need to know where they stand. Goalkeepers. I'm the number 1. I'm the number 2. I'm the number 3. I can. If I perform, there's a chance I could take the number 1 spot.
Yeah,
I can exactly. Yeah, but you can't be having 2 number 1s in the team, man. I don't think it works personally. So.
No, I totally agree. And I think it's down for the managers to be honest about that. He's the number 1. I'm not saying you can't take his place, but right now the agreement is you'll come in for cup games, you'll get plenty of games, and you'll be there to push him, to challenge him, to make sure that when his form dips, you're there. And we've got that, we keep that standard, we're keeping that. Because when we brought in the likes of Runnison, I feel like I'm pretty good at judging keepers within about not even a game. And Runnison, you could just tell you he weren't there. Although it was the other one, Matt Turner, pretty decent goalkeeper, not to the level to be coming on Arsenal as a if he was to have a run of games. You'd be happy to play cut games and maybe a game here and there when the player's injured. But if you was to have to play 10, 15 games, you would start to get worried. So I think, this is the best backup goalkeeper we've had since Ramsdale. So good bit of work. And on the other side of things, Arsenal have signed up Gabriel on a 4-year deal, which will keep him at Arsenal until he's 31 years of age. One of the best defenders in the Premier League. That's good work. Miles Lewis-Skelly is set to sign a new deal. That is been confirmed by the big names, Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein.
His agent did well. His agent did very well leaking that story about Real Madrid sniffing around him, didn't he? Done very well there. His agent earned his 10%.
No doubt, Real Madrid were sniffing around at some point. They maybe put an inquiry. I see your contract's coming up to the end. We love to nick players on a free contract. Would you be interested in joining it? No, sorry, but I'll let Arsenal know that. And Steve K has also revealed at the same time that he revealed that Gabriel will be signing a new deal, that Lewis Skelly would be signing a deal, which now been confirmed. Ethan Monieri is very much on his way to signing a new deal, and it looks like William Saliba and Bukayo Saka will be signing new deals as well, but they will be coming in the coming weeks. These extensions for these sorts of players are big. You cannot dismiss that. So when you're talking about sack the manager, do this, get him out, this one thing you can't be doing is sacking the manager when they're in transfer negotiations with some of your best players. They're already talking about staying, partly because that manager's there. So why derail that? Arsenal are doing their business. It's still early doors. Yeah, I can understand why there's a little bit of anxiety around this. We've had PTSD from seasons before. But look, it's 7 days until the end of the month. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of clubs moving once we do that. Once this happens, once that date comes, everyone's looking to wait until that PRS, so they can. It's the start of the new financial year as well. Yeah. I'm not worried at the moment. I know Garth has heard different in voice notes late at night. Me rocking in the corner. Why?
With nothing but his faults in a dark room, I just have to bring him down. I just have to bring him down from the ceiling. Like, don't worry, bro.
Every player that's linked with Arsenal then gets confirmed that he's potentially going to be moving to a Barcelona or a Real Madrid. You get worried about.
In the world we live in, with us doing this, and especially you, like with everything you've got with your TikToks and your Twitters, like. It's hard not to start getting a little bit anxious when all you're seeing is Arsenal. Like, where are they?
Let's be having you. Let's be having you. I just think
Arsenal need to get that striker over the line, and then they can get on with the rest of their transfers. Like they need to get Sesko or Gorkarez or whoever it is over the line 1st of July. Like get it done. You can't be hanging this out until, like I said, saying to you, 28th of August, and you still ain't got that striker in because it's gonna. It will actually cost Arteta his job if you don't get a striker in this summer. That's good enough, and you don't win a trophy. That is what will cost it. It won't be that he doesn't want a trophy. It will be you didn't bring a striker in, and because it's always the manager's fault. Like it doesn't matter these days if you've got directors of football and this and that. It's the manager's fault. That's what will cost him. So,
and funny enough, that's already starting to come out. We're starting to see when we're starting to see the likes of Nico Williams looking like he's going to go to Barcelona, Rodrigo. That story as the time goes on with the Rodrigo story, it seems to get less and less likely that he's going to be joining Arsenal. The stories that you hear about Benjamin Sesko and a release clause, or that Arsenal are frustrated and are moving on, and they don't think Gyökeres is the one, and they're being linked with Ollie Watkins. You're starting to you can sort of understand why people are starting to get antsy and a bit anxious about things. And I agree. You can't let this drag on. You can't let it drag on. But yeah,
who do you want? Who do you want? Like striker wise, for a start.
Me personally, I want Sesko. I know people talk about goal scoring, but I think his agent's right when he says, look at his goals. He's 21. And you look at the goals he scored by this age in the German league at 21. I know people talk, only 13 goals. Well, funny enough, it's 90 goals for Gyökeres over 2 seasons, but it's 13 goals for Sesko. Sesko scored 13 goals in the Bundesliga. He scored 21 in all competitions. And goal contributions, I think it works out to about 27, 28. And he played much of the season last season as a second striker to set up a PIDA. Like, these are the things that people keep on dismissing.
Yeah. And the way you play as well, Sesko's just a better fit. He's just a better fit for yourself. I hate to rip Steve off here because this is what he says. Your team, Arsenal, actually have quite a good contribution from a lot of positions on the pitch. You do left wing, right wing. You know, if Odegaard bucks up, and I don't mean that in the way that come out because I think you know how much I think Odegaard. But if his numbers go up like they should do next season, Havertz is back. He chips in with his 12 goals a season with 5 or 6, whatever. You know, I mean, Saka with his guaranteed 20 minimum goal contributions. Like Martinelli, like etc. You haven't got to worry about per se having a 35 goal a season striker up there. You need a player that works in that system. And I don't think Gyökeres works in that system. I've seen a lot of people say, well, just make the system work for him. That's not how it works, mate.
It's not how it works.
I dare to build a team for 5 years. For 5 years. Do you know what?
27-year-old who scored goals in the Portuguese league. You're like, you can't do that. Because it doesn't work, like, you're banging trouble. You're banging trouble, mate.
He's a good player, Gyökeres. And listen, it's a solid backup option to have on the cards. Like, if we don't get Sesko, we don't get Ollie Watkins, then we'll go and get Gyökeres, you know what I mean? But excuse me, you can't be just blowing up your system because you've seen the numbers. And this is what I said to you on the phone, innit? A lot of people are seeing those numbers, and that's all you're getting blinded by the fact that he's got 90 goals in 100 games over 2 seasons. You're blinded by that. You're not digging into it. I saw I think someone tweeted you when it's like, look, I didn't realize Belgium was a second-rate Portuguese team. It's like you found the one goal that he scored at the international level against a top 5 team. Now, 4 against Estonia.
And someone underneath that went, did you see the defence that Belgium were playing that day? So, and this is what I mean. Yeah. Like, at first, I was very much like, I've watched his goals in Coventry, and that's sort of alleviated a little bit of worry for me. But now I'm in the camp of, why is no one else touching him? Like, why has there not been a big clamour for Gyökeres? He's there, he's available, and yes, it's going to cost a little bit more than people thought. But no one's touching him. There's no one. Juventus and Man United have been the only 2 other clubs that's linked to him, and I'm like, that's a bit sus to me.
Everyone needs a striker. Like, literally, it's the most it's the least populous position in football right now. There just isn't that many strikers of top quality, and still no one's dropped the hammer on 65, 70, 80 mil on Gyökeres. Questions have to be asked here. Have to be asked today, mate. Yeah. I'm sorry. He will score goals, but if he comes to the Premier League, I think you're talking 15 to 20 all competitions from him. You're not getting 50 goals a season out of him, people. Like,
and someone poo-pooed the low block thing. I said, look.
No, everyone said, that's the truth.
We need players that can score in the low block. That's what we struggle with. Oh, just another generic line, copy and paste. No, because it's the truth. And Gyökeres is apparently not good in the air. He's not good in the air. So we're buying a player who, like, you've taken away an attribute that we need. We need someone who can play with the ball in the air. We need that option. We've got wingers like Saka. We've got people who can cross the ball like Declan Rice, Odegaard. And you want someone that's not prolific in the air. And mate, I look at it as like just a sporting aspect, an athletic aspect. Sesko is a specimen, mate. That geezer, he is built like a racehorse. 6'4", can leap like an Olympic high jumper. Like, he's rapid as well. Like, funny enough, he's not overly strong. Something that can be worked on. In the Premier League, he'd have to work on his strength and balance and being a bit more dominant. Like, he's not dominant because he's used his leap and his aerial ability, but he's not had to mess around or hustle and bustle. That really have to work on. But I look at all them attributes. I look at a player. People talk about the 13 goals. Jean-Philippe Mateta hit 13 goals when he was playing in Germany at this age. It was the other player that I looked at that was scoring goals similar in Germany around this age. So, and they're playing in the Premier League. Who else has been in Germany? Who's been in Germany? Not Mateta, someone else. But all similar. And they're playing in the Premier League right now and doing well. I'm not saying that it's automatically going to go that way, but it's not always. You can't always look at the goals that they've scored at the age of 21 and then compare that. Like, it doesn't work like that. And if you want to talk about comparisons, it was Goicoechea at 21, sitting on the bench at Brighton.
Running on the bench, it's like 210 games, 90 goals for Sesko at 21. I mean, 41 caps for Slovenia, 16 goals, mate. I mean, Carl,
How many assists as well?
Exactly.
That sounds a lot better.
Yeah, to the word out of my mouth, he has got. I bet you anyone you're like over a 1 in 2 goal contribution. Like 1 goal contribution, like it's going to be like 1.6 games.
So what are people talking about? I've not even heard that either. That's a stat that needs to be out. 210 games, 90 something goals.
Like 90 goals.
90 goals.
In all
90 goals. Yeah. That's solid. That's solid. Something about the assists. What are you talking about?
And even just for Leipzig, 87-39. You know, 87 games, 39 goals. So you're almost on a 1 in 2 just with that before you bring in the assists.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Come on now. Like,
I can see why Arteta wants him. I want Sesko. My second choice now would be Ollie Watkins. It sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but I think we're getting for a good price. And look, you can't knock a player who would like Ollie Watkins would die for Arsenal. Like the interview, I feel a bit sad when I see the old interview of Ollie Watkins. He's like, where he's like, "Yeah, I support Arsenal, but I'd love to play for that club. It's probably too late." Like, and it's like, could you imagine if he got that opportunity? He would give everything for the team, absolutely everything. And you know what he can do. You know what he can do in the Premier League. You see what he can do in Europe, and you've got a player that you've got for 3 solid seasons, and you're looking for your next player. So that's already in the pipeline. That's you're already bringing in your next striker. I think I'd rather have Ollie Watkins than the Goicoechea now. I think it'd be a smarter move as well, and it's not something that I'd be annoyed at.
Kit, I'm just running this out here now, mate. Just seeing Side's comment there. If you get hato, I'm not talking to you. We'll get
on to that in a second. I was hoping that Steve would be able to come on tonight. He's not available, but we will definitely get him on soon. Don't worry about that. Watch the numbers drop off now. Woo! We're ready for Steve! Slide for Steve!
No Steve, no party, no view. I'm out.
What's he say? Goicoechea with Watkins is what Arsenal needs. Side greedy.
Yeah. It'd be amazing, mate. But I don't think either of them would be happy with that situation. You play one striker. Like as much as Watkins wants Arsenal, he ain't coming in as a second place striker. Like he's got World Cups to think about next year, like etc. etc. He needs a solid 40 games season minimum next year.
Yeah,
and Goicoechea is very similar.
What happens with those players with the World Cup coming up? A lot of players on the fringes of squads, a lot of players that don't feel like they're getting the love that they need or appreciate. They're not feeling appreciated. So it will be interesting to see. I think there's going to be a lot of moves based on that.
100% there will be, 100% there will be. People looking like where can I get my game time? I mean, it'd be sick if you had Goicoechea and Watkins. That'd be awesome for you. There's no two ways about it. It'd be banging. But you only want one. You only can get one, I hope, anyway.
And the latest news is Jarrell Hato. Garth, you said you'd be sick to the stomach if he was to join Arsenal.
I'd be sick to the stomach, mate. You know everything I said about Jurriën Timber 2.5 years ago?
Yeah.
It's the same thing, apart from he can play left back. So.
Well, you know, Hato actually said that he was told to watch what everything that Van Dijk does, and he said, actually, I ended up following everything that Jurrien Timber done. I looked up to Jurrien Timber, and Jurrien Timber was my mentor at Ajax as well. Used to tell me, give me tips, and I used to always go to him with looking for advice. And yeah,
he's banging. He's like again, it's all potential. It's all potential because he's still only 19, I think. But yeah, he's got the potential to be well good. You just don't need him though, because it must be a 60 miller, surely 50, 60 miller for him.
I bet it's 40.
Oh, boy, really? Fair enough. But yeah, he's a left-sided centre back, and like he needs to play. He needs to play. You've already got Calafiori. Obviously, you've already got who plays left-sided centre back for you? Is it Gabriel or
Skelly? No, left-sided centre back is what? Saliba.
So he ain't busting through Saliba, obviously. You know what I mean? Like Lewis Skelly is going to, I presume, move into centre midfield, isn't he? From what I keep hearing, like he's going to start.
It does feel that way. Like, it does very much feel that way.
But
I
even
don't
then,
think we'll do that just yet. I think you'll see another season at least with Miles Lewis Skelly, because it does look like left back is helping his development as much as anything.
Who else you got? Zinchenko. But
Zinchenko's leaving. It looks like he's potentially going to AC Milan.
Tierney's obviously gone Celtic.
So we've lost 2 left backs.
Yeah, but who's your main left back? Normal.
Gabriel's left centre back. Sorry, garbage.
Your main left back. Who's your main left back?
Main left back is Miles Lewis Skelly at the moment.
All right. Do you know what? I'll take it back then. Damn. I take that back then. Nah, you can't have him. I'm writing letters, mate. I'm contacting my local MP. This is not allowed. How dare you? This is not allowed. I don't know what you've seen of him, mate, but honestly, you'll be well happy with him.
Nothing of him.
Absolutely he's got potential, mate. Honestly, like serious potential, and he's not small either. He ain't small like because I think Timber's only like 5'9" or something, isn't he? But I'm pretty sure. Let's have a quick look at him. 19. Yeah, he's just 6'1". There you go. Yeah. Just 6 caps for the Netherlands already. Yeah, honestly, mate. How many games has he already had? Already 124 appearances. Yeah. I don't want to hear it. I'm not talking to you if you get it. As I said, I ain't talking to you.
Well, we'll get Steve K on to discuss a little bit more about that, a little bit more in depth. He's got the story on that one. Obviously, there's links to Rodrigo. As I said before, it does seem like as time goes on, that those links are dwindling away. Especially when I see, like there was talk that the new sign they brought in, a 17-year-old was going to be the starter. I just don't see that. And unless Real Madrid's bringing another right winger, I don't see Rodrigo going anywhere. It doesn't seem like that way right now. Now on to the main topic, Chelsea. Somehow, Chelsea managed to be top of the Premier League's PRS limits. As you can see there, they can spend 300 million. Brighton doing very, very well at 295. Manchester City in 3rd place. Again, is going to Liverpool fans be spitting feathers at seeing that one. Tottenham sitting at 277 million. Manchester United 141 and Arsenal 97. As you get further down, you see these teams at risk. Burnley, profit needed. They're in.
You don't see that, do you?
They're in huge trouble. They can't buy anything. So maybe the likes of maybe a few sales there before they bring players in, because that team's going to go straight back down if they can't buy any players. Aston Villa. 15 million.
Yeah, big trouble. Now it makes sense why they sold Duran. I was stunned at why they did, and now it makes perfect sense.
At that price as well. At that price, and at the time, you're thinking, why are they selling him? And then sort of trying to get rid of Ollie Watkins and whatnot. But Sunderland. I mean, they're in the Premier League, so these clubs are buying to sort of go down and then come back up again.
Yeah, exactly.
Bournemouth. Leeds, so the usual lot, but we're focusing on Chelsea at the moment.
Can I just ask one thing here? Liverpool, there is that 75 mil before they've made all their signings.
Where are they? Yes.
Of so they're gambling, ain't they? They're gambling that they're going to be top of the ball for the next 4 or 5 years, ain't they? Then
yeah. Well, that's been the noises that I've been hearing from a lot of Liverpool fans. They are talking of dominance over the next 4 to 5 years. They're saying that we this is our opportunity to dominate. They feel like they are going to dominate. They've obviously seen the lad and seen what other teams are about, seen that Man City are in a bit of a transition. Arsenal aren't quite getting over the line, and there's other clubs that just obviously don't feel serious enough. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you've got is your two best, obviously, in Van Dijk and Salah. You've just got to hope they continue with their form for the next couple of years, because otherwise you could find yourself in trouble. But
what's the length of Salah's contract?
Two, wasn't it? They're both on two, I think. I could be wrong there. Let me have a quick look.
Yeah.
Because that's what they were both wanting, weren't it? Because they were getting offered one, weren't it?
Was it?
Yeah, I think so.
2 plus 1, was it a 2?
2 plus 1, weren't it? It's just 2, apparently. So yeah, until 2027, just a 2-year extension. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we see a Salah one more season and a sell. I think that would be smart.
Yeah, he's smart. Big sale move over to Saudi. They could still get 150 mil for him, couldn't they? In reality,
they've got to learn from the Trent situation. They've got to learn from what's potentially going to happen with Konate. They're not willing to offer him the big money that he wants to stay, and he looks like he could try to edge out on a free. I wouldn't do that with Salah. Like it's one of them where you got everything out of him. You squeezed every last bit of juice out of him. Get your money. Bring in your Isaac, who's probably what you've got to buy, or one of those players, and then move Salah on for a substantial amount still at his age to one of the Saudi teams, because if he goes over there, he's going to be a king, isn't he? And I think that's
at the end of his contract, he'll be 35. It's Sam. So you know, I mean, you don't want to lose him. Even at 35, you don't want to lose him on a free. You know, I mean, you can, like Edge is saying, get some dollar for him. As much as there's no replacing Mohamed Salah, like there's no replacing him. He's one of the best of all time. But yeah, that's when you do start thinking about, like, you could never let him go for a free. This is what I was saying. There's no way you could have let him go for a free this summer. That would have been crazy from Liverpool. But yeah, moving on. But as for Chelsea, man, you know, I took a little bit of a different tack this morning. I was going to do like a deep dive on how they're getting away with this, and I was like, no, I'm going to come at this as the fan, as how are they getting away with this? Like, you know what I mean? Coming from the fans' point, because I know you've got quite a bit of information. I've done a bit before on how they're doing it, but how? Like, what is like as a normal fan? How could it possibly be allowed? You know what I mean? So I don't know if you want to.
I don't know how it can be allowed. Look, we've seen Chelsea sell hotels to themselves. Chelsea deal to raise 76 million pounds as they sell their two of their hotels to their sister company, and the other one was that Chelsea have reported 128 million pound profit after the sales of the women's team, which they valued at around 200 million or 225 million, which is absolutely ludicrous. I don't know how they're getting away with it. That's the question. I don't know how the Premier League are allowing it. I don't know how legally it's allowed. That mate, sounds crazy. I went straight to my old man. He's a solicitor. I was like, this doesn't seem right. Like, legally, go, nah, that they're looking to that. But it was almost as if the stance that I feel that the Premier League are taking with Manchester City and Chelsea is that we don't want to potentially lose two of our biggest cash cows in the Premier League, two of our biggest draws to the Premier League, by potentially deducting them points and then being kicked out of the Premier League, or even worse. So we're going to sort of turn a blind eye to it and then maybe wrap some knuckles later on down the line. But that it sickens me as a football fan to see these clubs getting away with that, and essentially their fan base is laughing at everyone else when they're trying to do things with some sort of integrity. I know people, there's always a level of trying to do this, trying to do that, trying to find loopholes. But the way Chelsea do it, it's just brazen. And it's just, I can't see how not just the Premier League allowing them to get away with it, but just football as a whole is always focused on Manchester City. And for me, Chelsea are the catalysts for this football doping, this ruining the financial aspect of football. From when Roman Abramovich came in, and they were stockpiling players, giving players ridiculous contracts, ridiculous money, and just allowing them to sort of rot in the reserves. So yeah, I don't know how. I don't know how. I know you've done a little bit more digging on it as well, Garth. There's obviously also the other one was the ticketing one.
That Todd Bowley thing's crazy, bro.
It's crazy. Everything that Chelsea are doing is just looks like criminal activities. It's just odd.
What the ones that stick out to me is that side of the women's team. How is that fair value? I don't know. Listen, I'm not a businessman. I don't know business law. And I'm sure they've got the best lawyers around. But I was always under the impression that anything that was sold for that sort of money has to be fair value, no matter who's buying it from who, like blah, blah, blah. Like there's standards to it. And that club literally has never made a profit. It's not like I've read it's worth about 12 mil, Chelsea's women's team.
Like they've made a loss. They've made a loss over the last couple of years as well. They're not anywhere near close to profit.
Selling it to yourself, it reeks of fraud. It reeks of it.
It's so bad.
It's
so bad.
And look, Chelsea fans right now, you might be laughing at the rest of us, but be careful because this is the sort of stuff that actually ends up with your club down in League Two, like a Juventus or something, like where like it all comes crumbling down because it turns out it's some Ponzi scheme, some this, some that. There's some dodginess going down here or there. Selling your women's team to yourself, selling car parks and hotels to yourself. That's fine. And even if it doesn't turn out it's dodgy, be careful because in a couple of years you can't buy no more because you've got no assets left to sell. You've got players all amortized over 5 to 9 years, like the ones you had to start with, and they can't do that anymore. They can't be sold, so you've got no more money to spend, and now you've got a team full of dead wood that you can't move on. Blah blah blah, and the Premier League will have stopped you being able to sell any more players to Saudi Arabia because of Todd Bowley's Clear Lake, isn't it? His fund. Clear Lake's being owned by the Saudis. So be careful with your smiles and laughter. I get it. At the moment, you think you're the cock of the walk and you can do this and you can do that. But I mean, you haven't spent well in the last 2 years either. Like it's not like you've spent well. Cole Palmer, fair enough, but let's have a look at the rest of them.
Even that, though, Gar. Even that, they're selling the players to the Saudis. Like these are players no one wanted. Are you telling me people wanted Mendy in goal? Like he had a half decent start, but towards the end he was looking like a Mexican. No one wanted to touch him. So maybe you didn't make big money on him. Maybe people were expecting you to give your mates a call and you get double the money you pay for him. No, you done it fairly. You done the old. I'm going to give my club 100 billion on champ in the background. And then because you knew that people might be watching your game later on, you gave them fair value for the player. You didn't cheat and pay one. You didn't cheat and pay zero. You paid what they were worth. Like, come on, man. No one was paying that for the player. What was the other one? It was the defender. The one from Napoli. What's his name?
Koulibaly.
Koulibaly, yeah.
Koulibaly.
Yeah.
Sorry, Koulibaly.
So another one. So you couldn't get Koulibaly off the wages, and you couldn't get him off. You couldn't get Mendy, so you sold him to Saudi. It's just like, come on, man. Come on, man.
I do think it's going to come crashing down around them soon. I really do, because they can't get away with it for much longer. But I don't know. Like these deals are getting more and more. You saw what Villa and Chelsea and Everton were doing with each other, or whoever it was for it, like sending each other players to keep their books. Like, as Galvo's saying here.
Look where they are. Look where they are.
Because this is what's happening. Mate. You're putting yourself in corners, man. You're digging holes, and if the gamble don't pay off, you know what I mean. Yeah. Sorry, three cliches in a row there. They're in corners, they're digging holes, and if the gamble don't pay off. Yeah, they're in trouble. But again, as Gal was saying here about the Quasar deal back to Leverkusen, I was thinking the same thing, mate. I honestly was like, that seems a bit random. That now you're getting like you spend record fee on Verts and now you're selling in Quasar for 35 mil. But I looked into it and apparently it's 25 mil up front with 10 mil of performance add-ons, and Liverpool have actually put in a 51 million pound buyback clause as well. Okay. So it's not quite as dodgy as I thought. But yeah, listen. Do you know what? They need to, like I said to you, they need to scrap all these PSR rules and bring something better back, fit for purpose. I do think there needs to be finance regulations. I do think there needs to be caps. I do think that. I really do. Maybe wage caps might be the way to go. You know what I mean? Like you can have a total wage at your club instead of how much you can spend, etc., etc. Because otherwise, the Man Cities of the world, the Man Uniteds of the world, the what we called the Red Cartel will be able to do what we want. You know what I mean? So yeah, it does need to be bringing. But at the moment, a bit like VAR, it feels like it was brought in half baked, like, and not quite fit for purpose yet, the way that they got it, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
they just
I
rushed
understand
it
the
through.
reason they did it when we see clubs like Wigan, Portsmouth, so many more
Leeds,
that have overspent. Leeds.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they've overspent. Like, you look at like teams like Nottingham Forest, like, I see why they've done it, and when you look at it, they were very close to getting back in the Champions League. Very, very close. They've still got Europe, so that's their silver lining. And I hope that they can stay up there. That they brought a lot of entertainment this year, and that's what you want. You want these teams breaking back into Europe, and they've got a rich history of Europe as well. So I would like to see a Nottingham Forest get back into Europe, push into the latter stages of these cups. I like these stories. But they're at risk. If they have a season, let's say they have a season like Leicester, and they drop off and drop out of the league.
Yeah.
They've got all these wage bills for the past 3 seasons that they've built up. They can't get rid of players. Yes, the majority of players will say they want to leave because they don't want to play in the Championship. But there's going to be players in that team that will be like, no, I've got a 4-year deal. No way I'm getting this money here anywhere else. And my agent said, ride it out for a couple of seasons. And then we're earning money and then move on. Like, you might even
literally happened to Leeds. That's literally happened to Leeds. And 20 years later, they're now just becoming a yo-yo Premier League team again. Up one season, down, up one season. You're still talking like a good couple of years of progress before you can see them re-establish themselves as a proper Premier League team. So
Portsmouth won an FA Cup. They were big entertainment for neutral fans for a good couple of years. Bringing in all the big names, bringing in the players that were leaving the big clubs, the Sol Campbells,
the Souls, mate, 100%. I couldn't believe when he went Portsmouth. I was like, really? Fair play.
And probably at the time a little bit too early. Jermaine Defoe, Glenn Johnson,
did they have Nico Crankchar as well.
They had excellent team, an excellent team.
Because have you ever seen Harry Redknapp's stories about Cano?
Yeah.
That's some of the fun ones they are.
And great enjoyment for everyone. But look at where they are now. Look at where they are. So it's brought in for a reason. It serves a purpose. But I'm with you. They need to rethink it. And we spoke before about players being overplayed. PRS is part of the problem as to why clubs can't bring in that extra player to rotate the team. They're threadbare, these teams.
Can't be expecting clubs to play like if you're going to the Club World Cup as well. You go far in competitions. You could be talking about 75 games in a season, and that's if it's not a. I suppose it never will be the way it works, but or if you're an international and you've got a World Cup at the end of it, 70 games a season, unacceptable. I don't care. I know they paid a lot of money. People, I don't want to hear that excuse.
I hate that one. 350 grand a week. Do you know what I think? 350 grand a week. Do you know what, Gary? No. You wouldn't be able to play at them levels, mate. You wouldn't be able to. You can't.
Do you understand what they have to do? You don't get it. You know what I mean? There's like for 9 months of the year, if you're a professional, you're not really drinking. Like you may have a couple of vinos here and there, or a night out in the off season if you're not international. You're not like you can't have a pizza, mate. You know what I mean? Erling Haaland talks about pre-season I get my one kebab pizza.
It is the most British Norwegian you'll ever meet. Kebab pizza.
Oh no! Apparently, it's a delicacy in Norway. Apparently, kebab pizza, and it's not what you think either. Yeah, it actually looks all right. To be fair, because I've had a kebab pizza at 4:00 outside 3D.
And it sounds better than it is.
Oh no! It was delicious at the time, but at 9:30 the next morning, the regret was palpable. The regret was monumental, bro.
High blood pressure, too much salt, acid ingestion. When you get past 35, people. Am I having a heart attack? No, it was the pizza I ate earlier on.
It's like it's the old story. Do you remember Lex Luger, the wrestler? I'm sure you do, don't you?
Yeah.
There's an old story about him. Obviously, he was nothing but fitness. And someone asked him, "When's the last time you had a cheeseburger, Lex?" He was like, "I tell you what, Jimmy, been a while, mate. I had a portion of fries 6 months ago."
Was that what that one? Or was that one where you just bought the portion of fries so you could smell it?
There's that one where you're smelling it and then throwing them away. Like, so yeah, no, you wouldn't do it. Like, bottom line is, you earn that money because you're professional and you look after your body, but bodies break down. And what you want, you say that, but you want your best players. Like, you might say, well, on 30 million a year, they should be able to handle all the games. I play 6 times a week. Yeah, and I remember when I used to play at 5-side goals, and you do four games in a week, and the next couple of days your fires are like ripped to, you know what I mean?
I was thinking about this when I was thinking about some of the old boys that like say, "Oh well, I used to play this and I used to do that," and old Martin Lawrence, I used to play 45 games a season. Yeah, but mate, you had a European Cup, which was a one-leg knockout game. Yeah, it wasn't the pace of that we did now. There wasn't the extra games in those competitions as well. Like, it just wasn't the same. So stop pretending it was. It's not.
I'm not taking nothing away from them either. You know what I mean? I don't want to say, but it's exactly right. Like, you really need to think what these people, these players, put themselves through, man. The reason, like, we keep seeing articles about it as well, the increase in muscle injuries.
Yeah.
The increase in long-term muscle injuries as well.
Surgeries. There's muscle injuries, but then there's the players have had to have the increase in players that have had to have surgeries. It's gone up 20%. That's crazy. That's crazy. Not 2%, not a 20%.
20%, right?
It's got to be looked into, because what I worry about is it's the only time they're going to start looking into it is when we have a Fabrice and Wamba. And I know Fabrice had a heart issue, but there's also been players that have been overworked that have collapsed on the pitch because it's too much. It's too.
Well, no, but it's happening now, kid. Because people because this is what a combative discussion on Twitter with someone about. There's been a massive increase in heart issues in players in like the lower leagues and stuff. And he's like, "See the COVID jab. I bet they're all COVID jabbed." I'm like, "No, bruv, they're just under stress, mate. They're playing too much, and now these existing conditions."
I thought you lot said 5 years. I thought you said 5 years and people will be dropping down dead. Didn't you say that?
Yeah. Anyway, I love it. Everything's COVID. It's just the increase. Like, these people are going to have pre-existing conditions, and especially in some of these, like, you're looking like a lot of these players are. It's like second league French. You know what I mean? French second division, Italian third division. Like, who are still professionals and they're still playing a lot of games, but obviously they ain't got the healthcare or the medical staff to figure it out, and they're like the pre-existing conditions, and that's what's happening. And yeah, so FIFA, UEFA, like, if you want all of these games, you've got to relax the amount of players that a squad's allowed to have. It's got to be more than 25, and how much these clubs are allowed to spend. You've got to, because otherwise
you've got to be able to. You've got to increase the squad. You've got to.
Yeah, you've got to, because otherwise you're going to ruin these players, and you'll have players. You know what I mean? Who are just, look, just take Saka for example. This is my biggest worry for Saka is that, and as an England fan, he's just going to play too much. It's just going to play too much, and it's going to be gone. You know what I mean? When he's 27, he just won't be as in his prime, when he should be the best that he's ever been. He will have the injuries will have mounted up. You've seen it time and time again. Yeah, we've got to start. And I know they're multi-millionaires, but we've got to start looking after some of these lads. You know what I mean? It better. So yeah, and PSR ain't helping, like you're saying, because not just that. The other problem is you're now bringing up 17-year-olds.
Yeah,
like some people might think it's a good thing. Obviously, Lewis Skelly and Warwick look great, fantastic.
No,
there you go.
Look, I worry when people are turning around and saying that Arteta is stopping the development of Ethan Nwaneri when he's had 35 games by the age of 25, and that was this season as well. Just this season, he played 35 games, mate. Like, for a 17-year-old. Stop, and then they go, Yamal, Messi, Ronaldo, Rooney. Well, funnily enough, let's go to Rooney. When did he start to his body start to break down? But at the age of 30, I think it hit him.
Yeah, late 20s, man. He weren't the same at late 20s. He weren't the same. Messi weren't playing at 17. He wasn't.
Also, steroid injections would probably helped him. And
Ronaldo weren't first team.
Like you said, he weren't playing like that at 17. He weren't playing week in, week out. He had Ronaldinho there as well.
And we signed Ronaldo at 18, and he wasn't guaranteed first team until he was 20. So
there we go.
First season, he was coming off the bench. Second season, he established himself. But this is one of the things. Someone will go to Wikipedia now and be like, it says 35 games. Yeah, because he was getting 17 minutes at the end of the game.
Look at the minutes.
Minutes.
And Ethan Nwaneri got minutes this season. He got more minutes than a lot of senior pros, man. Seriously. He's played a lot.
These kids are still growing. They're still growing. I don't want to sound like an old man now, but you're impacting on their physical development. The more muscle mass they put on.
That's why there's a concern from us, because we've seen it. We've seen players like Steven Gerrard, Kieran Dyer, Michael Owen.
Great shout.
We've seen them. And people go, oh, Steven Gerrard, bro. Steven Gerrard literally had to have like weeks, months out because he had shin splints because he was overplayed. Like Kieran Dyer, the same. Overplayed at such a young age. It gets too much. Darren Bent had injuries because he was played so much. Darren Ambrose, players that like you don't even talk about that because they were playing first team football week in, week out at Ipswich in the Championship, and those players got Ipswich into the Premier League. Like, so some of
these players we're talking about 15 years ago as well. It was too much then. Like, you know, it was too much then, and now we're talking about they played 20 more games a season. Like, no, it's too much. Like, listen, they don't need protecting. Yes, they're multi-millionaires. Blah blah blah. Doesn't mean anything. If he breaks down, that player's gone, and then your club is losing out. So, like, think about it like that way.
Being first, not a footballer. And a body's a body. Like, it can only take so much.
Things need to change.
Is the talk of Max Down, which I think is absolutely ludicrous. I think we need to calm down on that.
15, you know?
15. It's absolutely crazy the way that people are talking at the age of 15. They're talking, and then I'll make a video on it a bit. If he's good enough, he's old enough. No.
No.
And it's also the pressure that you're putting on a 15-year-old already.
He's not even allowed to play, is he? You've got to be 16, haven't you?
It'd be in the team next season. It'd do a Ethan Nwaneri next season, which is get a couple of minutes here and there at the end of a game so that he signs that contract, and then we can sort of relax and then slowly feed him in over the years. And by 18, he would have got some games. But, quickly before we go, Gavo says, with the demand on players now, teams in Europe basically need 2 players in every position. At our first team quality, and it's very hard. How do you sell that? How do you sell that to a player? How do you sell to a player that's going to come in next to Saka that you want, even in and close to the level of Saka? It's a very hard sell. Yeah. Same on the left, same up top. Very hard sell. Not going to happen.
To match the demand of games, Galvo, yes, but logistically, exactly what Keir's saying there. Like, how do you keep these players happy? You know what I mean? Like, you're always going to need the first team player and then the geezer that's behind him. What you want is obviously quality backup, so that's what you need. But it's getting that way. Obviously, Man City like to have that with Pep Guardiola, but even they're like, you look at, look at them falling apart a little bit now. Like some players are going. So, and then you talk about wages as well. You got to remember, first team players means first team wages. Like first team quality means first team wages, and now your PSR's out the window. And this right here, mate, you've hit the nail on the head, Gary. It's the vicious circle of why PSR needs to change, why things need to change, because otherwise it's not going to happen like that. So I think realistically you need 15 first team players in your squad. One goalkeeper, your 10 outfield players, and then 4 other first team level players, and then good quality behind that is probably in this current guise the way to go.
Yeah, and I think players will start to change a little bit. I think like when you've got Arsenal got currently, for example, Ben White and Yuri and Timber as right backs. I think you can have that level of quality if there's an understanding. It's going to be hard to do that for a striker because it's one position. But when you've got the amount of games they could play in multiple positions, I think that's why you're seeing a lot of managers try and get players who've got versatility in their game and can play a multitude of different positions as well. So yeah, I think that needs to be done with PRS. Bigger squads, maybe an extra, maybe I spoke about it before. We maybe doing something with the youth players, and you can have an extra youth player, or you've got to play youth players in your team or whatever. I don't know.
That's a good shout. An extra sub that is guaranteed to be an under 21 player.
Yeah,
maybe it's even an appearance cap on it as well. They can't have more than 15 appearances.
Because it allows that homegrown talent and the development of the player, but it also levels out the playing field a bit more because it's something that you can't just out and out buy. You can't go and spend 100 mil on a player who could just come on as a sub. Some clubs maybe have to do like the Man City's, the Chelsea's. That player has to be brought through. He has to be nurtured. He's coming through. So it's something you've developed, and it's a bit more of that. So if he is good, it's off your own back. So yeah, maybe they're saying I have to think a bit deeper in that one. But yeah, Galvo, come with some ideas next week, mate. That is all we have time for. Next week, I will be getting Steve K back on with. So make sure you get your questions in. There's plenty to discuss as well. Gerald Hato, there's some big moves coming. I think I saw Steve drop another post tonight as well. So.
We ain't talking about Hato ever again. It's done. I gave my opinion on it.
Next week, I'll be doing a full analysis of how good Hato will be in Arsenal's team.
It'll be well good, and it's sickening because he'll be well good. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, we will see. We will see. Thank you for joining us tonight, Garth.
Pleasure as always, mate. Thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime. If you are new to the show, press that like and subscribe. If you are watching on YouTube, appreciate your support. Press that subscribe button. It is free of charge. I won't charge you. There's no Patreon sites. No.
This time. We won't charge you this time.
Won't charge you this time. But the offer ends on the 30th of July. Anyone that subscribes after that will be charged. An invoice will come to your house. Whether you have to pay it or not, that's down to you. It's a simple thing. It's simple. All right? But get it done. Get it done. Simon, I want you in the comment section telling people to smash that like going forward. Smash that like. Yeah, we will see. We will see. I'll ask Steve. We'll get him on next week. If you are on TikTok, make sure you go and follow the Transfer Exchange Show on TikTok and follow KS. No. Kieran AFC. Them accounts are growing. Follow Garth on Twitter and go and follow Steve K on Twitter as well. Make sure you go and follow him there and hassle him and ask him questions. He loves it. He absolutely loves it.
And if you want deep dives on the Matrix trilogy, like I've been doing on Twitter for the last 2 days, arguing with someone who doesn't understand the films, come and see my Twitter. Like you said, go and see mine, but you're going to have to go back a few days to understand where that starts.
Football.
Not even football.
Yeah, actually, stay away from my Twitter. I've been far too deep in far right. No. Let me finish, Carl. I should have laughed in between that because it makes up being far too deep in far right conversations. I have, but shutting them down.
You'll find Kieran's foot page. Kieran's page is the one with the Farage PFP. You know what I mean? So.
If my TikTok ever takes off, I do need to delete all the messages on my Instagram, on my Twitter page, because there's been far too many arguments going back and forth with idiots. It is what it is. I get passionate about it.
I need burner accounts now. I need burner accounts.
I need burner accounts.
I can argue with people. Nothing comes back on me.
Thank you very much, Galvo. Thank you very much, Simon, for joining us tonight. Smash that like, people. Peace out. Stay safe. Oh my gosh, I should have got this.
You do this to me every week, man.
I know, I do it to myself. I take a picture. It's a video. Ha! Peace out. Stay safe and wash your hands.